Hello, Tactical Bunny here, coming to you from a nice little park in Dana Point Harbor. Those are the boats over there in the marina, and I'm going to be talking to you about. Oh, it's not even in screen yet. This guy, the excuse me, the Boker Urban Trapper, and what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and I'll get into that right now. Uh, what I like about it is it accomplishes something really special. Between its fairly thin blade stock, although not overly thin blade stock, and its titanium frame with Coca-Cola scales, and I believe that is a titanium clip. I'll be corrected if I'm wrong. It's one of the lightest handle to blade length weight ratios that you're going to find. That is to say, not so much handle to blade, but blade length being 3 inches and weight being 1.07 ounces means this is a very, very lightweight knife for the length of the blade. None of these other knives that I have here as other small everyday carry knives are going to even compare closely as far as the weight of this knife for the length of the blade. So that comes at a consequence. You have thinner titanium liners, and I'm not liners, a thinner titanium frame. That makes it a little less strong and durable. I feel like if I was really pushing into a lot, if I was trying to whittle wood or something with this, I might over torque it. I might get something to break on it. And that it's just because it's a minimalist in weight, and it's maybe the Boker people, I'm sure they thought of this. They say this is not going to be a heavy use knife like any of these other knives are much heavier use than this knife. They're saying, hey, this is going to be a gentleman's knife. It's going to be something that you could take to the office and have be so lightweight that it could sit in a dress shirt pocket and just disappear, and you'd forget about it because it's that lightweight. And they knew that, so they were thinking, hey, you're going to be doing maybe some food prep, maybe cutting some bread or cutting up a sandwich, or yeah, I said sandwich, although I can't pronounce it sandwich. No, I can't pronounce the word anymore, not for this video. But they're thinking you're going to be using this in light to medium uses. You're not going out into the woods and feather sticking with this guy. You're doing simple tasks, and for that it's great. I sharpened it. I got a really nice edge on there. This is the VG10 steel. It's pretty good. It's not the best in the world. Their etched marking in there kind of has this rainbow sheen to it that's really cool. It's a little bit more apparent maybe in person. The quality of workmanship as it came from the factory was something I was disappointed in. And let me set this down, grab my tablet, and I'll show you really quickly what I'm talking about. So here's a picture of the Boker Urban Trapper, and take a look. Even in the pictures, you can see, isn't that funny? I'm just showing you a tablet. Sorry. You can see that wood looks pretty rough, and it is. And this smoothness that I got onto mine comes from the oils in my hand, and just kind of rubbing it and smoothing it off. But it came rough, and it wasn't really nice at first. Now, the other thing I want to point out is this flipper tab. I modified my flipper tab, and just take a look so that you can see the difference here. And what I did was I dremeled it from this side only because I wanted to maximize the amount of handle space I had. I think when they downsized this to the petite model, they didn't realize that they were going to be sacrificing a lot of handle space to keep the flipper tab in the same position. I think Boker should have moved the flipper tab further this way on the knife blade to give more space for the user's hand. I mean, I'd still be happy if I could get my hand all the way around this handle and not have to sit behind the flipper tab, but I made room for it, and by grinding down the flipper tab, it's a little harder to activate, probably 50% more difficult than the original flipper tab, which is to say it's still easy to do. And that's a good thing. Now, not a good thing as it came to me. Additionally, I had to radius this this frame because it had some sharp edges, and I think I'm actually showing it pretty good. And if you look on the inside edge, it's just kind of sharp. I think I even radiused that even slightly, but these outside edges I really had to go around, and I used a table belt sander and just radiused every single edge so it would be comfortable. This section of the handle is actually rounded so that because it was jabbing into my pinky, and dang if that wasn't uncomfortable. So this knife, as it came from the factory, had some problems. Another challenge you'll have is you can see it's 100% lockup, which is fine. It hasn't gone, the lock bar hasn't gone past the blade to where it's resting against the other side of the frame, so that's fine. But an issue that you will have is that when you do titanium to steel, the steel is harder than the titanium, so the titanium's more prone to wear as you use this over time. So far, it hasn't been an issue. I think the lockup was just about like that when I got it. What else do I need to say about this knife? I mean, if you're going to be using something for heavy use day in and day out, you're better off with something like this, the Spyderco Dragonfly. Even though you lose a lot of length on the edge itself, it's a very usable portion of edge, and being a broader knife, the Dragonfly, it's going to have more progressive cutting, so it's going to be a better slicer with that amount of knife it has. That being said, the Boker still is a very good slicer, but the Dragonfly is also going to have a little bit more torsional strength than the Boker, just from my feelings on the topic. If you're looking for an ultimate gentleman's carry, something like this Microtech UTX-70, which doesn't have the most useful blade, but just has really cool nuance to it and mechanical funness and show-offiness. If you are in an environment where people would appreciate that, this is a really cool knife to have. And but it's going to be limited because it's hard to clean, and this is going to be easier to maintain. Just another automatic from California another automatic you can have in California, Kershaw Launch 4. It's probably, the blade is more of a utility blade because it's fairly thick stock, and the handle is really thick, so it's going to have a lot of torsional strength to it, and that's about all I can say about that. It's a cool option though. It's neat in California, and this one is in Damascus steel actually, but I stupidly took off the coating, and now I'm going to have to recoat it because every time I touch it, it just rusts like a maniac. So, there's something to be said for when you go with a knife that has a good steel like VG10 that's known. It's a known quantity to be really a very good steel, to hold a good edge, to sharpen really well, and not need to not be very prone to rust or anything like that when you touch it, because your fingers are going to be all over it. Hey, I really like this knife. I think in the right use, you will be very happy that you have it. So give it a shot.